Say debts upon divorce. While not really a title issue, okay, we are frequently asked the situation where property is divided in a divorce and certain debts are awarded to one spouse. That spouse doesn't pay and the creditor comes against the other spouse. Does she have to pay? Yes, unless the creditor was made a party to the divorce, it was no notice of the decree and is not bound by it. Remedy is to sue the ex. Okay, so what does all that mean? This is so important. I'm dealing with a nasty situation dealing with this right now. Okay, here's the thing. We've got a couple that's going through a divorce. Okay, wife is going to keep the house and husband's going to move out. Okay? And husband and wife had bought that house 5 years ago. You all helped them find the house of their dreams, and so the lien or the loan was made with husband and wife on it. Husband moves out. Well, wife's probably not going to be able to refinance that home into just on her own credit to be able to just afford the house. So the plan is, but because husband is paying child support, then they figured out number-wise she'll be able to stay in that house and still pay that note. But husband has moved out, and the divorce decree clearly states that she gets title to the house. Okay? But nobody deals with the lender. And believe it or not, I just could, frustrating with divorce attorneys not handling this more clearly, with them being clear on what happens in this situation. Is husband moves out and then calls you a year later and says, I need to buy a house. And you help them find a beautiful house. They go to get lending and they don't qualify. Why? Because they're still on the debt and the note over here on this house that he deeded over to the wife in the divorce decree, but is still obligated on that note. Okay? And so the only remedy in that case is if, one, the lender's willing to overlook that, which there's probably not going to in today's market, or two, she can refinance that loan and get him off of the note so that his credit's cleared up, okay? That's a bad situation because he can't go buy the house. The other bad situation is when wife stops paying Chase Bank. And the husband has no idea, and his score starts plummeting. And he goes and pulls his credit and finds out that Chase Bank hasn't been paid for the past 3 months and has started foreclosure, and that's on his credit. And he deeded this title over to her. If she went and sold the house, she'd get all the proceeds from the house. But his credit's still tied to it. And that's important because when you're dealing with somebody that's divorced, that's a good question to ask them as a buyer is, how did you handle when you're divorced your prior home that you had with your ex-spouse? And they'll tell you very quickly, oh, she got it or he got it, and then you can ask the question, and they may not know. Honestly, a lot of them don't know. So are you still on the debt? That sort of thing. Before you find the dream house for them, have them talk to a lender. I know you do that probably anyway, but just that's something they're going to need to look at because of the fact that that's a huge issue. The other huge issue is the fact that they are dealing with that if that spouse that's living in that house starts to stop paying, it's their credit that gets just hammered. And it's not pretty. Nothing about that's pretty. And there's legal ways to protect people in those situations. So if you just know somebody going through a divorce, that would be good advice that you could give them is to say, you know what, make sure you protect yourself and deal. If you're gonna not stay on that debt, make sure you protect yourself. That's the best advice you can give them. To me, they should either sell the house or the person that's getting the house needs to refinance it into their name. Those are to me the only ways to do it. There are other ways to do it, but again, those are still just a headache and a nightmare for the ex-spouse if something comes up. those two ways gets the person clear and able to move on with their life and do something different. So just, again, not so important as in terms of, but I get that question a ton, and you get that question a lot, I'm sure, and you get that roadblock a lot. So I'm just educating you on that's why you're getting the roadblock, is because they're still on that debt. Think about that, right? Why would, and when people do it all the time, would you, if I wanted to go buy a house, would you come sign the note and not be on the title? Probably not. So that's what's happened in that divorce, is that basically this person has title to the property, complete control over the property, can sell that property, that sort of thing, and the ex is just obligated on the note and has no rights.